argument. Is that why we're hearing a Bitcoin reserve? Why we're hearing Bitcoin at the Treasury?
I don't think it requires people to understand. That's one of the important things, is that they will do it out of self-interest because Bitcoin will always go up priced in fiat.
Mm-hmm.
Because there will always be more fiat and there will always be 21 million Bitcoin.
Right.
So a lot of people, it's great to be educated. It's great to understand how these systems work, but it's also important to understand that the systems work in spite of people not understanding it. My car doesn't work because I understand how an engine works.
Right.
Most people drive cars without having the first clue, not being able to explain, what a two-stroke engine is, or, the pistons, or how the combustion actually occurs and why. Like, nobody can, like, I can explain it, but I can't explain it in like excruciating detail or with the math, behind it. And same goes for money. Same goes for value. People will just gravitate to where value is. Like,
yeah, well said.
And so it fixes itself as long as you just have the medium that can't be cheated, that is not vulnerable to the same bug, to the same exploit that destroyed the last one. And the exploit of fiat is simply that the people who own it are going to print it.
So I guess where I was thinking about AI in this connection to TradFi.
Yeah, I was curious. Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Is how disruptive it's going to be to identity, KYC, AML, etc. Right?
Gotcha.
So because when
kind of from the authentication perspective.
Yeah, and when I go down when I go down the rabbit hole you're describing, that's all based on trust. Yeah. Because somebody has to trust that those numbers we're issuing on paper and sending overseas to purchase those goods and services, they need to trust that that's legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, or if you're a corporation, you need to trust that payment's going to settle. So I see lots of, basically from the work that I've heard you talk about before, I see lots of disruption coming at an incredibly fast pace. And I don't understand how TradFi is going to adapt to this quick enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a really interesting dynamic because like we're getting to the point where like it's not that difficult to live change somebody's face on video. Certainly not difficult to live change their voice, especially if you happen to have a podcast with hundreds of hours of audio to make like a really professional model to mimic you. But you don't even need that anymore. Like I did one yesterday, just experimenting with a meme that I'm screwing around with. And I had 20 seconds audio. And it was good enough to be like, oh, that's the same voice, and that's only the thing is that, this is the worst it's ever going to be, and I was using open source tools. I wasn't even using like the high end kind of proprietary tools for this very thing. And generative AI is really interesting from, when I went down the AI rabbit hole, again, like why I made the AI Unchained podcast is just because like part of me I was really worried. I'll admit I was really, really worried that we were going to be in these giant centralized platforms with basically contextual awareness and being able to do like NSA, like platform level spying on a scale and with as little resources as possible in a way that like straight up 1984 in a way that was like hard to comprehend. And the fact that ChatGPT, everybody talked about like, oh, you can't do AI on anything unless you have billions of dollars worth of GPU processing power and all of this stuff. Like it worried me. It really worried me when this all first started. But then I started to see like it slowly was coming to the surface that like the compute was not efficient enough and the result wasn't good enough to actually be maintained. Like every time you asked ChatGPT a question, it was like a nickel. It costs like 8 cents, up to 8 cents, which is crazy. Like that's an enormous amount for like per interaction. And At the exact same time, what generative AI did and what a lot of the tools make possible is basically the inability to know whether or not anybody is human. Is we've come to this point where we can mimic the digital version of humans incredibly well. Like incredibly well. There are so many just out of description video created, like not even like based on something else. If you have like a framework of a video, like if you have like somebody talking and you want to change their mouth or change their face into somebody else's, there are incredibly good tools at doing that. There's like a bunch of different, like there's a image of this used to take a lot of Photoshop skill, to do this.
Right.
Not anymore. It's not even slightly hard. In fact, there's open source tools completely for free that you can do. You just put a picture of the face you want and you click on the face in the thing because it's got object identification. It can see the faces. And then you just tell it to go. And then after about 5 seconds of processing, it puts one face on another face. And there's like a picture of like Diddy and Kanye, I think maybe. I can't remember, but a couple of them all about the pedophilia and rape stuff that's been going on. And somebody has superimposed J-Lo's face on some girl in the image. And like community notes keep posting it. It's like this is not J-Lo. Look at the original image, and they'll link to the original image. But like that's so easy to do, and it's so quick to spread stuff like that because it's engaging. It's like, oh my God, that's like a big deal. So I'm going to retweet it really quick. This is kind of, it's the world that we're going in. And when you have a financial system, when you have payment systems that are all pull based, that's the big thing. This is the fundamental difference that makes Bitcoin compatible and the fiat financial system incompatible with where we're headed. Is the fiat system is entirely pull based, which means that you give every amount of capacity, every authentication and authority to someone else to yank money from your account. And then you trust that they're only going to yank the amount that you tell them. And very often they don't. They pull more amounts. You cancel it's too difficult to cancel your subscription. They love that power. That's why we're on a subscription-based system, because they want you to forget about stuff. They want to pull that $10 payment for 4 months before you realize you've been paying for this thing that you haven't logged into, and then you have to go cancel it because you can't just turn it off. You have to go to the service. You have to go through the menu, and they hide it. They make it really inconvenient to do so that if you're in the middle of something else, you're going to stop halfway through. Just $10. I'll do this tomorrow. I can't tell you how many times I literally cannot find where to cancel some sort of a service.
Been there.
And then when you finally do, it's like 5 steps, and then you have to cancel. You have to confirm via your email. It's like, dude, I want you to not pay me. How is it that I have less power over this than you? That's crazy. And that system requires that you identify who you are working with. KYC, like not KYC AML, but like literally like knowing who you are doing business with is a requirement because it is permissioned. Cash is the opposite of that. The whole point of money, one of the core concepts of money is that you can trust the money instead of having to trust the other person. When everything is based on credit and everything is based on permission, you literally lose the foundation that makes money money.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest ByteFederal ATM and turn your cash to coin. ByteFederal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, ByteFederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.